Sir Tregeivich Churja agus a Comradaha agus Bealtaine Sonna Díobh Galéir. Well, that in English. Greetings, comrades and friends, and happy Bealtaine to all. May Day, 1st of May, the Feast of Bealtaine, as practiced in old pagan Ireland and various other places in the pagan European world before Christianity came along, for better or for worse, better and for worse in many cases. So also International Workers' Day, important day. So all these things that, you know, the Tories, Labour and Lib Dems and especially Reform are trying to undo. I've been burning literature from all those parties. I wish I'd kept the Tory one for this one before I started recording this video, because the other video completely fell apart. The camera shaking everywhere and literature falling out of the fire, but never mind, this one's staying put. So burning old mouldy clothes, because, you know, when you live in places like this in the northeast, sometimes mould happens. But I have been collecting literature from the various imperialist parties, that be Labour, Liberal Democrat, Tory, and I've been incinerating them. So various friends of mine who live in Newcastle, Gateshead, Wallsend, South Shields and places like that, particularly in the poorer areas, have been getting this filth through their doors. This is one again. I hope you can see that in the fire. People have been putting this in their windows so you know who the assholes are. But you see, they can get away with it because they know we're not a bunch of violent thugs like they are, and we don't whip up things to say let's find out who supports Reform and kill them. You see, they, on the other hand, should I say unalive, Reform supporters on the other hand like to dox people like us, which is why I'm not doxing myself here. And they like to encourage lynch mobs to come around and attack everybody. They're not doing it yet, but they will. They've made many alliances with far-right groups like the English Defence League and Britain First. That's been known in the past. Nigel Farage himself is a former Nazi sympathiser. So hey, there you go. Anyway, this is my last piece of Reform. I thought I support Reform. Whoever wants to put that up in their fucking window needs, well, yeah. Maybe I should say gulagging, but I don't know. There we go. There it belongs, on the Bealtaine bonfire. And it always goes up like that. They must put fucking sulphur or something in there. I don't know what it is. That's a bloody fire hazard if that is in your window. But if you're a Reform voter, you get zero sympathy from me. So I'm going to honour the old deities and you know, there's Macha, Morrigan, Bive, Cuchulainn, all the rest, all these, you know, heroes and demigods and gods and goddesses and all the rest of them, because, well, you know, St. Patrick supposedly got rid of all that, and maybe in some ways that was good, because some of those pagan practices were brutal. Unfortunately, like religion happens, like what happens with a lot of religion, the Christians learned how to be like that too, and then they did the same thing, and the Christian religion was hijacked by the Holy Roman Empire, and then later by the Calvinists. And if you want to start blaming people for persecuting pagans, it wasn't I have many issues with the Catholic Church, being an insider, lapsed Catholic myself, but don't blame them for burning witches alive. That was the bloody Calvinists that did that. So blame the right ones if you're going to do that. I've said that many a time, but it always has to be repeated, because, you know, if idiots out there keep going, St. Patrick, Irish Catholics killed my pagan ancestors. Fuck off, mate. Your pagan ancestors are probably puritanical witch finders, and you're just overcompensating. I don't know, and I'm not going to waste my time speculating. Any more than that, at least. What else am I going to talk about? Well, this week the news has been, well, full of more race riots. And I need to do a proper video about this one, but apparently there was a alleged assault by migrant workers and dirty, stinking illegals, as they like to call them, in Epsom, I believe. I've only seen a little bit on the BBC, and I'm gonna look more into it by various media sources to find out more about this. But allegedly, as I understand it, that whole assault in Epsom never even happened. It was more like somebody fell over drunk because she'd been out on the razzle that night, and fell over. Didn't know where she was, completely disorientated. Somebody comes along who thinks, she's been attacked by migrants, and it goes from there and snowballs. And then I don't know if the tabloids got hold of it, but the far right did, and then a race riot happens, doesn't it? Protecting women and children. Why do these people always say they're protecting women and girls and kids, and they're the same people who say that they wish women who don't agree with their racist filth should be Shall I use the YouTube-friendly version of S-Aid? I hope you get you fucking and you fucking really protecting women and girls. Listen, sweetheart, you want to be a fucking hero? Why don't you go and stand up against the fucking monarchs and the police that kick your door down? Or why don't you stand next to those poor bastards that are getting it worse than you? But no, you're cowards. Yous are all chicken shit, spineless, boot-licking, yellow-bellied fucking cowards, the lot of yous. And you wonder why we laugh at yous. Why do they always look like thumbs? Angry thumb man. You know? Arrgh! Pronouns! Pronouns! Arrgh! Go figure. Peshkele. What else is there to talk about? Burning the impurities, and God, I keep saying this whenever I make a fire. People like my bonfires, but I always think, God, is this gonna, you know, with war going on, that these arseholes in Washington and these spineless neo-black shirts in the UK are endorsing them and enabling them, and those gutless fucking compradors in Leinster House in Dublin are also licking the boots of Trump. We're all cheering on this war with Iran. I'm no fan of the Iranian regime at all, but I'm equally, even less of a fan of the British regime, or the US regime, or the EU regime. European integration, fine, but not when it's a fucking European racist imperialist fortress that keeps Africans and Asians out. Fuck that. Fuck the EU, fuck the UK, fuck NATO, and fuck the USA. The whole lot of them are rotten. Rotten, evil, malignant empires. That gets me onto isn't real. That other malignant empire, which doesn't control the United States, it's a proxy of the United States. It's also partly a proxy of the UK. Well, it was until they sold it to the US. Stop coming out with anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that Israel's pulling America's strings. This is the same shite I used to hear the liberals and pathetic excuse of the, well, soft left in the UK saying that America is colonising Britain. The UK is not a colony of the US. The US used to be a colony of the UK, but it kicked out the UK and became a colonising force in itself. Stop twisting shit around. If you want to see colonialism, look at the so-called Commonwealth that these bastards still have. It's the empire in under a different name. You know, Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Kenya. You know, even, well, Palestine was. Well, but look at that. That's the aftermath of that is now the genocide being committed by the Zionist fascist ethno-state. That was largely the result of British imperialism and French as well and others. You want to look at colonialism? Yeah, look at that. You want to look at the way the Mexican state is being Mexican women are being abused in working in sweatshops, and they come over the border into the US. They get arrested by ICE. And deported, not to mention raped, abused, and I shouldn't use the R word because I'm going to get, probably this video might get taken down, but you know what I'm talking about. That's colonialism, that's racism, that is imperialism. So stop whining that the US, because it has a few bases in the UK, is making you its colony. It makes you its bitch maybe, but not its colony, and you're just an imperial power like any other. Same with France, same with Germany, same with the European Union. Civil war in civil wars in Eastern Europe, that was largely it. Ukrainian war, Russia being invading Ukraine. Well, yeah, of course it is. Russia wants is an a burgeoning imperial power. Wants its colony back, and Ukraine is selling off the resources to the IMF because the country's in debt to the IMF. You know, cokehead Zelensky or fuckwit fascist Putin, both of them have fascists on their side. And I don't even need to go on about that. I've talked about it enough already. But hey, it's May Day. It's a summary of the general things in the working men's and working women and working non-binaries' lives. Things that are currently under threat from the far right. In many forms, be it outright fascism or neoliberal quasi-proto-fascism. These times are scary. But I enjoy burning the fucking literature of all these bastards. And isn't that a grand old fire? The heat off it's pretty good as well. Not that you need much heat, it's a warm night tonight. Rounding up. Fuck capitalism. Smash imperialism. Support the resistance in the 6 counties of Ireland and in the Basque Country and all over the world, and of course in Palestine and in Yemen, and stop the genocide in Sudan as well. That's only to name a few. And stop the blockade of Cuba. And I'm not a huge fan of the DPRK. I'm no Jew-ist, but stop the blockade of the DPRK, and just destroy these empires. Agus leis tá mé ag dolamach. Is me se an punk féinneach dearach. Slán go fóla agus ganaidíon bóthirlibh go léir charja. Bealtaine sonna, yeah. Bealtaine, is it Bealtaine sonna? Agus slán go fól. I'm Red Finian Punk. Happy Bealtaine. Bye for now. Slán